Altcoin season is upon us. Maybe this is the start of something big. Today we're going to break it down for you. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Joining me, of course, is Mr. EvanAldo.
Great to be on.
You are back off of the road again, Evan.
Yes.
How was the holiday?
It was gregreat. It was great. A lot of, weather was nice up there.
Big party on the first for you or no?
No, I'm too old for that now.
I love it. Well, before we get started, I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Coinbase. If you guys are looking at getting into your own crypto portfolio, you can start over on Coinbase. Very easy. And guess what? If you sign up today, you get up to $200 in crypto. All you have to do is use our link down below to get started. It's going to get you into the game. And I know a lot of you are thinking altcoins are the way to go. Well, Evan and I will break it down for you and get into a lot of that. Let's lead off with the altcoin season chart right here, man. Mm-hmm. We've got altcoin season. If you look at this, Evan, and where it has been over just the last little bit, altcoin season index pumped around to almost to 80. This was back in early December. And then we retraced back down, obviously on overall market cap, but also just in altcoins in general, it started to retrace down. And you look at where it is right now, people look at this index right here, still trading on the light side of true altcoin season. How long before you think we'll truly see a flaming altcoin season?
Well, if history is any indication, a couple weeks probably. I think when ETH hits a new all-time high, it hits back to that 4,800.
A couple weeks in January.
A couple, yeah, most likely.
Okay.
Within a month.
We're right here.
I think we're right there. Bitcoin dominance is very bearish. Where we are in the first cycle is January of 2021, where it really took off that time. And then the time before was January of 2017. So within these patterns that crypto follows, it would be within a few weeks, yeah.
One thing you got to look at is the situation on Bitcoin right now. BlackRock's ETF saw a withdrawal of almost $333 million yesterday. This was the largest outflow in history on Bitcoin. So that didn't necessarily affect the Bitcoin price as much. We still continued to see Bitcoin edge its way up after year-end, I think, tax loss harvesting, not only for maybe not necessarily Bitcoin, but in general. I think people were trying to position around some tax events. The IRS kind of backed off some things. That also helped the market in general. You look at Bitcoin dominance right now. If you look at the dominance chart, Evan, what do you see right here? I mean, this is a continuous down since, what was this, about December 21st, we started seeing those dips, and we are now hovering at 57% on the dominance chart.
So yeah, I mean, it looks very similar to how it looked back in beginning of 2021, January of 21. See, you had this area, and then we came down a lot. Yep. Similar situation here. Look at these RSIs right here. These RSIs just starting to come down, very similar. So it looks like, in all likelihood, you would continue downward for a nice altcoin season. If we look even back more, I mean, where we saw the altcoin season the last time in the previous cycle, before last cycle, February, the peak was December of 2016, and then you were just, headed straight down. So unless you think we're going to see no altcoin season at all, this should continue downward for the majority of this year.
Is there an area within Bitcoin that you're looking for it to achieve to say, all right, we are at now max potential here for altcoin season to really start to kick off?
I think the new all-time high was kind of, the new all-time high holding where we are right now. I think that's the big thing. And I think the next thing is ETH, kind of jumping up to those new all-time highs. That's going to be the big thing, I think.
Well, I mean, you have 106, this was back here. I mean, if you don't count the wicks, but the closes right there on the 16th of December, hovering around 106 right now. Of course, Bitcoin trading at around 98.6, which is continuously started to edge up a little bit.
Right.
Do you think we break 100?
I think you got a technical target. If we look right here on Bitcoin, double bottom right here, your next target is going to be, if we could break above where we are right now, big place, 105 would be that big place. And if we could break above there, your next target would be 118 right there. So that would be the next big place. It is known for 30% correction, though. So once we get to 118, 120, plot twist, then you might finally come down to that 80K everybody was talking about. But even more of a plot twist as this happens, like we saw BlackRock, I think it was, selling Bitcoin. I think a lot of people have the same idea. They're going to be selling some Bitcoin, potentially buying altcoins. So throughout this potential 30% pullback for Bitcoin, a lot of altcoins may only come down 20 or 25%.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the key, watching that. You look at the macro side of things in terms of just the overall market on TradFi. At the S&P 500 now, largest drop, and this is from Christmas to year end. This is since 1952. We haven't seen a drop like that since 1952.
Bullish.
So, okay, well, why?
Well, I mean, yeah, in the 4-year cycle and all this, you got the new president coming in. A lot of things look good, I think. Unless you think we're going into recession and all that, I think it's unlikely. You look at this chart right here, nice double bottom pattern, and you got a little bit of fear too. You look at fear and greed for S&P 500, a lot of fear. Same thing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin kind of neutral, but still fear for where we are in the cycle. Double top, I think you got a good shot of jumping up to 6,300 end a month, a few months from now. So in all likelihood, I think we should continue forward. There is a little bit of fear we could break down farther, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to.
If you listen to Tom Lee, because he's been talking about 6,000, S&P. When you look at what his trends are still aligning, he still likes the 200K Bitcoin, in markets, and he's starting to lean a lot more into altcoins, which was interesting. Obviously, Solana being one of them. Speaking of that, several ETFs now looming. And there could be some pretty immediate actions that could happen on the 20th of January with obviously the new SEC chair coming in and of course the new administration. But Eric Balchunas hits on this right here. You can bet on several altcoin ETF approvals. Not necessarily going to say I agree with all of these odds, but here they are. This was kind of the breakdown. So the ones that we're watching is Solana ETF, and we're also watching the Ripple or the XRP ETF. Right now, XRP could have anywhere between a 64 and a 70% chance, depending on what you're thinking of in terms of the lock here. But also Solana, potential by July of this year, a 58% chance. When you look at Solana right now on the chart and you like it at around $200, is this one, do you feel, starts to really make a charge toward what a lot of people have been pointing at, which is around $1,000 Solana?
I don't think we're going to go up to $1,000. I think that may be a little bit too optimistic, but I could get you, I think it's going to do very well. Now, the first thing I'm looking at, we're already at 217 right now. I think we could easily charge up to 260 by potentially the end of this month, and then break above there by the summer, potentially getting up to 400, in the coming months in the summer. That's going to be a big place. And then I think if we follow the 4-year cycle, what I look at, if you really zoom out here on some of the high time frames, high charts here, I think that would be around that 650 mark. $1,000, I mean, I think that's going to be a little tough. It is a little bit, when I zoom out on some of these charts, it is a little bit scary. But when I look at my 4-day, you got the trigger wave right there. Last time we had the trigger wave, that brought you up to that area. That would easily bring you up to 268. You break above there, I think you at least could see 400, and then hopefully that 600 mark, the next big fib level. So I think you can get a 3x would be a good goal. $1,000, a 5x, I don't know.
Solana is surpassing 100 billion in market cap right now. So that in itself, a 3x would be pretty significant for the market
$300 billion market cap. I don't know about $500 billion. That would be tough. Yeah.
Looking at that, you've got to look at some of the other things that are happening. Right now, they just flipped BNB. So it could go into some interesting waters right now, especially because you got to think about a Solana ETF, if it were to get launched, in the middle of a cycle in which an altcoin run was happening. Because when we got the ETH ETF, it did not happen during a cycle in which ETH was running.
Right.
So that would be my question, whether it's XRP or a Solana ETF first, if timing is right, will it benefit if there is an ETF out there exposed at the same time that an altcoin is flying?
Well, let's say the Solana ETF comes out in Solana in the summer. Solana's at $400. I think that could easily bring you up to 600. Could that double it up to 1,000? Maybe, or 800? Maybe, but I mean, I would be safe trying. I'd be on the safe side. Try to get out at 600 maybe.
Polymarket's talking about XRP, and there's a few people that kind of weighed in on this. I'll kind of zoom in on a couple of these, but mostly it's a 70% chance right now that we'll see it. Plus you've got RLUSD most likely rolling out on major exchanges. And remember, with RLUSD, the gas is just very similar to like Ethereum, but not necessarily based on Circle, but that's using XRP. So the XRP token itself is going to most likely take off. With an XRP ETF, where does XRP head to?
I think XRP, if everything goes well with an ETF, I think you got a good shot at high fives up to $6, which is going to be a good area. So a little over a double at least, I could think, which would be similar to what I would guess on Solana kind of as well, at least a bit over a double. I do think Solana may do a little bit better in XRP. That's just, I like Solana better. But I mean, the first thing we're looking at here, if we could break out of this range we've been in, your next big place is going to be $4.45. You could see that within a few months. Then after that, into the end of the year, maybe those high fives. After after $6, I think it could be kind of tough. I mean, if you really draw some major fib levels here, I mean, you do have higher areas. There's $8 even, $12. I guess that's possible, but things would get pretty crazy. Let's just focus on that $6 mark, focus on that double up to $300 billion market cap, right now. And I mean, keep in mind, XRP is quite a bit of a larger market cap than Solana, so I still think there's more opportunity with Solana.
I think the key here with XRP is its connectivity to the traditional financial systems.
Sure.
Remember, you're going to have a lot of activity on RLUSD, which is going to drive the price of Ripple, the coin. And then you've got a lot of adoption cycles that are now going into mainstream TradFi. And if you get an XRP ETF, mainstream TradFi are typically the suitors of that. So that would be the only thing that I would say XRP could benefit from that, maybe beyond what the charts are showing right now. Ethereum ETFs are now setting new records. This was happening in December. Institutional interest soaring past 2 billion. So that's a big mark that a lot of people have been looking at. Milestone really for ETH. I think a lot of people anticipated this before December. They thought it would happen.
Right.
It did not. And now if you look at just the chart here that I'm showing on the ETF flows, the back half of the year right there, if you go all the way back into November, the ETF flows finally started kicking up on Ethereum. With that being the case, timing here right now with Bitcoin dominance starting to slip and the potential of altcoin season starting to move, is Ethereum the first mover on this? Do you think we see an all-time high back to 4,800?
I think there's a good shot. The first thing I'll show you here is ETH versus Bitcoin, which has been a scary chart. We've come down a lot since September of 22, over 50% here. But I think we finally, if we can hold this level we're at right now, we're making a higher low, double bottom. This looks really, really good for ETH versus Bitcoin. And just to show you the last time here quickly, where we bottomed out, it was the end of December of 2020, exactly 4 years ago. And then look at this crazy high rally against Bitcoin right here. You outperformed it by over 200%.
Yeah.
So even if you could get half of that, that's really, really good. Now let's look at the ETH chart itself. The next big place we're looking at, I would say, well, technically 3,700, but I think you could break above that and get to that 4,000 mark, especially in the 16-hour. If we repeat this, see where we came into the green for a while. Let's say we repeat this, come into the green, which I think would happen. And if you look at this trajectory, our old all-time high around 4,900, I think you might be able to hit that by the end of this month. And what's even crazier, let's look at what happened exactly about 4 years ago in the 4-year cycle.
Yep.
Let's find it here where we first made, so that was the January 2018 all-time high. We made the new all-time high here right in the beginning of February of 2021. So exactly 4 years later, it would pinpoint to a new all-time high. Maybe we finally hit that 5,200 mark, this spider line, at the end of this month, early February. So I think you got that trajectory.
Yeah, and there's two things happening with Ethereum right now. One, of course, is if the ETF does get approval for staking, that would be a whole new game within traditional finance, especially around the ETH ETF. And it might come in line with what's happening right now with Ethereum, which is staking concerns, also usage stagnation starting to slow a little bit. At the same time, I think a lot of that is people maybe in a position where they're trying to trade or get ready to make a trade. So some of that could just be flowing over within the market in general. Listen, we've got CES happening this week. That means NVIDIA. That means AI. That means we're going to see all sorts of cloud compute projects that really make it to the next level. One that I want to take a look at, I want to take a look at the chart, but Over is one we've been watching here for quite some time. And as you guys know, Render is one, I would say, that has the most potential, that is very tied to what NVIDIA's performance has been. What about Render?
Render, I think, has got a good shot here. I like kind of what I'm seeing on the chart. You have this giant kind of, one of my favorite patterns, especially in bull markets, it's a giant reverse head and shoulders forming. And if you break upward from that, you should at least get up to 18, high 17s here. And once you break above that, $30 could be in the case. Could be in the ballpark, and then $40. I think you got at least...
What's your top for Render?
I mean, I would start. I don't have any particular top, but I would be starting to at least get out at 40. I would think 40, would be depending on where we hit. 40, 3 to 4x. I think you got a good shot at here.
So 3 to 4x would be your exit.
30 to 40.
Okay,
yeah. 30 to 40. I think
that's a healthy exit too. I think for a lot of people that might be going into it. The one thing I would argue with that is only the potential of a lot of the. Well, we'll talk about virtuals, but just AI agents in general, what we could see in terms of kind of rising all boats on both what we've seen with where render has gone, which is most cloud compute. I wonder if it would possibly garner in more interest on render.
I think if we can get up to that 30 to 40 within a few months, then you've got a potential double from there, or maybe a 50% gain from there into the end of the year. But if we're in October, November of this year and we're only at 30 or 40, that's probably it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had Vegas Sphere right here, rendered entirely on render, so that was pretty fantastic right there.
Good news.
That is crazy. Look at that.
Wow.
That is so unbelievable. I love it. I love to see the fact that we're seeing blockchain out there in Vegas at this level, for sure. With that being the case, I've got to take a look at virtuals. Virtuals is one that we've been talking about for some time. It's exceeding now 5 billion in terms of the market cap, but there was a little bit of pullback, even though that's still considerably high from where it was, price per token over $5. Do you like virtuals? And do you feel like this one has a big opportunity for more?
So the first thing that I look at when I see this is my 3-day, your money flow is still good. It's obviously overheated. It's going to be, it's only going up and to the right, but it looks like a continuation. Your next target is going to be right around $8. So from where we are right now, I know it's crazy. The volatility is crazy. $8. I think you may be able to see a double, but that before a potential pullback. I mean, where could this end up? It's hard to say when you have a new chart, but if you want to just, this could be a big pattern we broke out of, that kind of range. Take this with a grain of salt though, but I mean, a 20x, I don't think it would go that high, but I mean, 10 to 20x is possible for something with this small of a market cap. Very risky though, but it's possible.
Yeah. So, okay, so with the fact that we've seen render starting to flow into some AI potential, obviously virtuals, AI agents becoming what most likely we'll see a handful of meme tokens and other things start to fly into that area. I think that's one of the biggest narratives to watch for 2025 is the virtuals and or just AI in general and how this might be playing out, AI agents. Speaking about that, we got to talk about Prime. And of course, here's just a quick, tweet right here, simulation game on parallel colony. We've had the Prime team on here before. When you look at Prime, the token, it trades on Coinbase. So this could be one just because of its availability of people trying to jump into something that has some AI narrative behind it. Do you think Prime can hold?
I think it can. It should be able to keep going here. I like how my money flow is generally coming up on my 5-day. My 5-day, same thing on 3-day. It looks good for continuation. Your next big place, if you kind of break above like $18, would be really a 3 to 4x, maybe 42. That's a big fib level, then 66. So I could see this continuing. The trajectory that we've seen here, following this trajectory. Maybe summer, you may see a $40 to $60, $40 to $65 Prime. So I think this can continue to do well. It looks pretty good.
All right, we got to jump to some of the charts here. I want to go to SWI real quick because SWI is most likely going to see some AI agents working its way into the SWI ecosystem. If you look at where it is right now, it's recovered completely back to its high. What do you like for SWI in terms of the potential for this token?
So I think that when you look at where we are, money flow, I mean, it is overheated, but it's coming back up. It looks like it can continue. And then your next big place is going to be at $6. If you could break above that, you're looking at $10. And then probably the highest it's actually only a 3x to 15. So maybe a 3x from here you could see in the end of this year, middle to end of this year, $15 I could see. I think it'll generally continue its trajectory upward. It was a jump up here, then you have that correction, jump up here. I mean, people would think, oh, where's your correction? I mean, you may not see a major correction until we get up to $10 or something, but there's going to be volatility. So, my target for this, I think $10 to $15 is a good goal. So.
Okay, is there anything right now that you're looking at that you feel is a 10x project?
A 10x project.
From where it is maybe setting today. I mean, let's think Avalanche, it's still hovering around $40. Does it make it to 400? You look at further down the chart, anything specific?
You know, the good news that's been coming out, I don't know if a lot of people would agree with this, but the good news that's been coming out, crypto.com, there's been a lot of good stuff there. That's been suppressed. It could be risky, but you're at 15 cents right now. Your old all-time high was at 82, and then above that, that would easily bring you to a 10x if you could hit that $1.50 mark, which is a pretty good fib level. So I think if we can get the momentum right, and a lot of people have been complaining about Coinbase and moving over to using crypto.com, that could also help the token. So I think if the stars align, it could be very risky, but if the stars align, this could make a new all-time high and hit $1.50, about a 10x.
All right, so $1.50 on Crow. Wow.
Maybe.
Interesting. I haven't seen that one in a while, so I will have to go with you on that one. Anything else you like?
Oh man, off the top of my head, I mean, other than a lot of the ones you mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of potential in that virtuals. I mean, there are some ape coin, half meme coin. You know, I do think you would see a resurgence in some of those NFTs that may help out ape coin. H-bar has come a long way, but I think in all likelihood, from where we were at the low, I think H-bar can do really well. MATIC as well, I think, is pretty suppressed. I don't know if it can do a full, 10x. Let's take a look at MATIC just really quickly here. Yeah, I mean, you're at 50 cents right now. It would be a 5x back up to all-time highs, I believe. Yeah, so if you can make new all-time highs for this, you would need $5 for a 10x. I mean, there are targets up there. I don't know if you would make it all the way up to that $4 mark or that mark, but I think there's potential. If you can make a new all-time high with this, you could see a 10x.
All right, so altcoin season, right at the beginning of possibly a recovery, we start to see a movement. You feel like it's just around the corner.
Yeah.
In terms of some of these highs, especially with Ethereum possibly leading out and getting its all-time high and regaining that market share. With that being the case, is there a time in which you would potentially exit your positions? A lot of people look at May as a target zone, which is, if you look at the past cycles, that has proven to be a case. Do you feel like we do see the lull in the summer? Would you exit in May? Wait for some lulls in the summer and try to re-enter before the fall?
You could try to do that, but statistically, really the best place to get out of the altcoins has always been between October to December of the post-halving year.
So you're going to hold all the way through?
I'm going to try to, but if something's up 20 or 30x or even 10x for that matter, I may consult, move it to something more safe.
Okay.
So
yeah, so DCAI, let's talk about that for a second. You've 10x'd on tokens, maybe you've 5x'd on some of these major projects, and you're in a position where you want to take profits. What is your strategy on DCA on the out side?
Start DCAing out from beginning of October and be done DCAing out by the end of December. That's historically what works in the post-halving years, and you would have some serious gains there. I mean, the other thing too is when it gets euphoric, when you're up 10 or 20x, maybe just sell and put it into something. Maybe virtuals went up 10x, maybe MATIC went up 10x, maybe ApeCoin went up 10x, maybe Crow went up 10x. Maybe put it into Bitcoin, something safer. Maybe put it into S&P 500. Maybe pay off your mortgage. You know what I mean?
I like it.
That's the other way.
So move some of that around, definitely for sure. All right, you guys, if you have not checked out EvanAldo's channel, make sure and jump over to YouTube and just EvanAldo. Very easy to get to. When's the last time you did a video here, man?
Last night.
Last night?
Yeah,
was it a live stream?
Not a live stream, no, pre-recorded.
Bitcoin back to 105.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, and ETH to 3,700. That was your number.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like 3,700 quickly. You guys subscribe to Evan's channel. He does a great job on both live streams, but also he has a course over there you guys can get into. Very easy to do. Use our code. We always put a code down in the link below. So good seeing you.
Great to be on.
Oh, yeah. All right, you guys, if you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in right now. Make sure and, of course, join. We got additional content over there, podcasts, all sorts of research. But, of course, you can also reach me out there on X, just @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.